When you are in the process of a camp, when you set out a camp and you're doing this 10-week program, do you have everything planned out, like from the moment the camp starts?
More or less. And
is it mostly you that's planning everything out?
Yes.
Really?
Yeah. I take full responsibility for everything that I do in life. You know, like if I'm not getting takedowns, it's not my wrestling coach's fault. It's my own fault because I know I'm being taught correct things. I've surrounded myself with good people that are teaching me the right things, so I don't ever worry about like not being taught the right things. If I don't get good at something, I like almost feel pathetic because I'm like, man, this guy's like with the wrestling. Like if Banks has to tell me something week by week by week, I start to feel like pathetic. I'm like, why am I not getting better at this? You know, that also causes me to like get into it with some people sometimes too, which is fine also, you know, because they know I love them and they know, and I know that they love me. So it's not really like a big deal when we do get into it, but I incorporate like a decent amount of self-hypnosis type things that I like doing too. I write down when I'm doing that. I write down when I'm flying training partners in, when I'm going out to Virginia to train with Ryan. Yeah, it's pretty much like to the T written out.
When you say self-hypnosis, like what are you doing there?
So this dude Michael Seeley on YouTube does them. They're just like 50 to like an hour and 15-minute hypnosis where they like calm you down for like the first 15-20 minutes. They try to get you super present, and then I enjoy, there's all different kinds of them, but I enjoy doing the ones where they like almost walk you through like finding your spirit animal or like going on an astral travel or something like this. I think that there's a lot of substance to getting to a really calm place and then letting your imagination kind of like feed you what's kind of going on deeper inside of you. And I do a decent amount of those, which sounds a little bit funky and a little bit weird, but I've had some super intense experiences by just literally laying there, put my headphones in and listening to this dude talk on YouTube.
Well, I'd imagine I feel like when you're at your level, and one of the things that's exciting about what's going on right now in the Bantamweight division is that there's so much talent. It might be the most talent-stacked division in the UFC. It's hard to say because 55 is great, 45 is great. There's a lot of amazing divisions. But for my money, I think 35 might be, because there's just so many guys. There's some killers, and everyone recognizes that the level is so high in that division, and they see a fight like your fight with Marlon or Merab's fight with Piotr, and it's like, Jesus Christ, man. If you want to compete in that division, you got to have everything right. You have to dot your I's and cross your T's. You got to get that exact amount of rest. You got to do everything.
Hell yeah.
Everything.
Yeah.
This is just the most insane pressure cooker that I think any division has ever had, because I feel like there's like 8 world champions competing for the #1 spot. Any one of these guys could be a world champion. Any one of these guys. And in another time period would be a world champion. But because of what's happening in MMA right now, because the skill sets are so high and the talent level is so high that everyone's recognizing that, and you're seeing these insane breakthrough performances like every time from these guys, where everybody else is like, God damn, got to go back to work, because it's just so pressure intensive.
It has to bring out the best in me for the next rest of my career. Like, it's absolutely has to. Like, it's not one of those divisions where it's like, I'm gonna beat that guy, I'm gonna beat that guy. Yeah, like literally all the way up and like past the outside the top 15, I'm like, man, if you're not on your P's and Q's and you're not working your ass off like you were a 21-year-old kid, I wouldn't have it any other way, man. Like, that's what's going to bring out the best in me, and I'm like super just grateful that I get to be a part of it while it's actually happening. It's kind of like feels surreal that that's the scenario.
It's awesome. It's awesome that you're embracing it like that, because it's awesome for me as a fan to watch this happen, because I think it's very unique. I think it's very special. It's like, you remember back in, like, there's a Showtime documentary on the golden age of, like, when Hagler was fighting Leonard and Hearns was fighting Duran and Duran was fighting Hagler, and these guys, they all fed off of each other. But it was only a few of them. Like, the UFC right now, it's a goddamn carnival. I mean, there's a fucking massive crowd of assassins that are all competing. And you'll see these new bantamweights that come into the UFC, and, you know, they might have 16, 17 fights outside the organization, and then you'll see them in their debut. You're like, Jesus Christ, this guy's world class. World class already. First fight in the UFC. I mean, that to me is so exciting, because this sport is the only sport that you could really name that if you go back to 1993 and you look at it from 2023, you're looking at a massive evolution in the game. Massive.
Massive.
I mean, not even comparable. There's not a single person from 1993 that looks like they're a world champion in 2023. But if you go back to 1993 in boxing, you got a lot of world champions. You got Oscar De La Hoya, Julio Cesar Chavez. You got assassins who can compete in any division or in any, rather, era at any time in boxing. You don't have that in the UFC. You have this complete new kind of thing that's emerging and evolving, and you're seeing these top performers that are just reaching total new heights.
It's in like that period of like history where we're all in this like discovery, like who's gonna figure out how to make this thing work the best, you know, like that's almost what I feel like the race is right now. Where the race is like I said, man, everyone works hard, everyone's pretty athletic, you know, like everyone kind of has like their little quirks and like the ways that they do things or whatever, but who's gonna figure out how to be like the best system of MMA? Because every other sport I feel like has done that. That's like why most soccer games look like all the other soccer games. But in fighting, not all the fights look like the same fights. And I think that that's just because it's in this like realm of just full-blown creativity, which is because we're just trying to figure out like who's gonna get the best system first, you know?